I'd like to shift gears a little bit and bring up Forsyth County Board of Education Chairman Mike Valdes, Forsyth County Sheriff Ron Freeman, and our panel moderator, Communications Director Russell Brown, for a panel discussion on where we are today.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. And we're certainly glad to dive into some data here in just a few moments. And you heard Chairman John a moment ago talk about the importance of zoning decisions for land use in our county. But what exactly does that mean and why is that important? Let's take a look at some of the data here on the screen. If you take a look here, you'll see the total number of rezoning applications from A1, which is government ease for agricultural, to residential. That's decreased by 43% since 2022. The average density of those applications has also decreased from 1.23 units per acre in 2022 to 1.03 units per acre in 2025. And lastly, you'll see the number of applications by district over the last 5 years as well. So what exactly does all this mean? It's a lot of data, it sounds great, but how does it apply to our community and to our neighborhoods? Let's dive in. Sheriff Freeman, let's start with you. Let's just jump right into it. What kind of impact does the decisions being made when it comes to zoning have on public safety?
Well, across the board, more people creates more need, right? So first of all, so density is something we pay attention to. You know, one of the things I think I can speak for Chief Head, not speaking for him, but we're friends and we deal with public safety across this county. We look, you know, if the county were to approve and add a 100-home subdivision, really not a big task on the sheriff's office to be able to handle that, right? The anticipated calls for service things. But when we're on the 24th subdivision of 100, when we see multifamily housing, I know from experience that even though in the initial phases we may not see increased calls for service, long term we will. And so we work together with the county and talk about those things because there are cost factors. Eventually, when we add enough residents, we have to add deputy sheriffs. We have to add fire trucks and firefighters to do those, to keep ISO ratings and all those kind of things. So it is a mutually symbiotic relationship. And so it is important for us to be engaged. You wouldn't think of the sheriff's office or fire department being engaged in, we're not engaged in the zoning decisions, but the impact that zoning decision might have upon the county. And so I'm grateful for the relationship we have with the Board of Commissioners, that we are able to have those really just candid conversations about what impact it might have.
It truly seems like it's a domino effect. And Chairman Valdes, for the school system, I imagine it's about the same. Is that fair?
No, it doesn't affect us. No, I'm kidding. Of course, you know, in the simplest sense, you know, residential zonings mean more houses mean more families mean more students, and more students mean more of all the things in our school system. So, yeah, residential zoning absolutely has an impact, but they're not all the same. There are zonings that are less impactful for us, you know, Res 1s, Res 2s. I'm careful to use these terms because I don't know them all, so I'll probably get it wrong, but there's zonings that are absolutely much higher impact for us. You know, think, you know, townhouses, apartments. Those are zonings that produce much larger number of students over a smaller surface area. Sometimes they contribute less taxes per capita. So it's kind of a convergence of things, right? More students over a smaller area, contributing less, and hitting in a very focused way an attendance zone. So those kind of zonings definitely have a large impact for our school system. But, you know, growth is inevitable. It's not something that we're not naive to the fact that people want to live here. Heck, I came here because I wanted to be with our schools, with our sheriff office. What we think, you know, the way forward, and we're very grateful for our county partners when, you know, about a year ago, we asked for some relief on these higher density zonings, and we've been working hand in hand to find that balance, right? At the same time that we're growing these less impactful, higher quality zonings, we're seeing our commercial tax digest go up. So I think from the school system's perspective, that's what we want to see. We know growth will resume. We want it to resume. It's not an evil thing, but we want to see kind of a balanced approach.
A population of 300,000 is not in that far of a distant future at the rate that Forsyth County is growing in. So, Chairman John, for you, is this the silver bullet? Is this the answer to smart growth, to being able to manage that? And is there even an answer that the county can implement when it comes to growth strategy?
I mean, there's no magic bullet, right? you've heard me talk about the sheriff's office and the school system. Those are the two S's, school and safety, that draw a lot of people to want to come and either establish a home or a business in Forsyth County. So those are our two key partners and the ones that we pay the most attention to. But we've heard them loud and clear. I remember a conversation with Chairman Valdes 2 years ago when I asked him, do you know which way the growth is going? And he wasn't quite aware. And then, we provided him with the information, the data, what had already been approved. And so they were able to work with the school administration to strategically think about how they're going to grow. Sheriff Freeman and I think we speak maybe once every week or once every other week at least. But, we have a good relationship, a good partnership. He used a symbiotic relationship. It's a matrix relationship because the school affects what safety does also, right? Absolutely. You have one incident in a school system, and then all of a sudden parents get scared, and you get good folks, good businesses moving out of the county. So we are very carefully working through what growth looks like over the next few years.
Public safety and school system, really the intersection of what makes any community successful. And with that, Sheriff Freeman and Chairman Valdes, myself having a child in elementary school here in Forsyth County is of great importance to me and why my family lives where we do, because of the public safety in our school system. What impact is there on public safety initiatives when we talk about growth when it comes to schools and the Sheriff's Office response?
So, first of all, I will say, and again, I've been around a lot of governments, and I work across the state with sheriff's offices across the state. And to see a sheriff's office that has a really good relationship with their Board of Commissioners and their Board of Education is somewhat rare in Georgia. I'm the envy of many sheriffs because I have that relationship and I have those groups that I can work with. But it is. So, go back to 2017, we had about 9 to 15 school resource deputies. Today, there are 65 deputy sheriffs assigned to the school resource programs, to school safety. Those include bomb detection dogs, narcotics detection dogs, supervisors, an SRO assigned full-time to every school in Forsyth County, and 2 assigned to all the major high schools. And this year, working with the Board of Education and county government, we added 2 juvenile detectives whose primary function is school threat assessment. We deal with over 100 school threats every year. A lot of those are just somebody heard something and it turns out to be nothing, but it's kind of like I say the difference between a drug dog and a bomb dog. If a drug dog misses drugs, that's a bad thing, but it's not the end of the day. If a bomb dog misses a bomb, it could be the end of everything. We have to be 100% on school threats. And we have great partners in the school system. Superintendent Young and I get along fantastically. We've known each other for years. Their school safety department is fantastic. I mentioned earlier when I talked about our heroes, our real-time crime center, so technology where we can look at the cameras and see live, real-time. We're looking at an expansion of a drone as a first responder program, hopefully putting those on schools, which will serve a broader purpose, but also schools. So the growth does also have an effect. As we add more schools, that means more deputy sheriffs. We can use technology for a lot of things, but nothing will replace a man or woman in uniform standing in a school. And our SRO's primary function, really simple, is to keep our kids safe. And if somebody tries to hurt them, to hurt that person first. I don't mind saying that. But their other function, and it is 95% of their job, is they work as mentors and partners with our school partners to work with kids who are in need, to get them to a safe place before they ever get to a point where they are a threat to a school. And they do exceptional work at that.
Chairman Valdes, what does it mean for you to have this partnership?
I mean, the partnership that we have and the level of synergy that exists between the Sheriff's Office and our school system cannot be overstated. From the Midway Elementary building that we leased to them for, I think, the good price of $1 per year, where they've built a state-of-the-art training center. It brings Sheriff's Office presence into the heart of our school system. Like the Sheriff said, we've got 65 SROs. We've got 1 in every school, 2 in every high school. And these people are more than law enforcement. They have their law enforcement mission, and they achieve that very well, but they're integrated in the instructional environment. They're in classrooms. They're dealing with social emotional issues. They're mentors. They're friends. They've got super cool dogs. They've got all kinds of gadgets, and they're the heroes of a lot of these kids. But growth has its strains. It strains. With more people comes more complexity. We run an extremely complex operation. People don't sometimes think we service nearly 56,000 customers every single day and 7,000 staff. We run over 500 buses. We operate 43 restaurants, 43 clinics. The list goes on and on and on. We run a large-scale enterprise, just a number of sporting events on any given Friday night or Saturday. More kids, more things, more schools, more events, more complexity. And it also strains probably one of the most important bits of that approach, which is our detection and prevention. And I know the sheriff is big on that, but we have 11 wonderful people called student advocacy specialists, and their primary function is to detect and prevent suicidal, homicidal ideation. Those 11 people are sitting with a caseload of about 1,000 kids each right now. So that's the real world impact of growth and the number of students. So it definitely strains that.
And by the way, a lot of those sports events and training would not happen without our 30-plus parks with all of the fields and football, baseball, lacrosse, right? Our kids benefit from the county amenities as well.
Absolutely. The level of cooperation between school system and county government and the number of intergovernmental agreements we have, it's huge. So we're very grateful for that partnership.
I certainly challenge anybody in any community in Georgia to find a community that has better synergy than this team here does that's on the stage here today, which is absolutely very rare, to Sheriff Freeman's point. Sheriff Freeman, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about crime rates in Forsyth County. You mentioned it earlier in the program. We'll be touching on that a little bit more. What does the population increase do for you and your team when it comes to crime rates?
So you're going to hear this all the time. We're a unique situation here. Look, we're the most affluent, most educated, healthiest. You saw the number ones, number twos on the screen. That has a direct impact on crime. This is the hard part to understand. 10 years ago, we had nearly 100,000 less people living in Forsyth County. Not exactly, but around. Let's just use round numbers. Crime, if you would think, everyone in the room would think, if I said, if we had 100,000 residents, crime's going to rise just by the very nature of 100,000 people. Crime is lower today than it was when we had 100,000 people less 10 years ago. Crime is lower today, follow that, than 10 years ago when we had 100,000 less people. That's not just a testament to the guys in these uniforms, and they're phenomenal, and gosh, I'm such blessed to be able to lead those men and women because they do phenomenal work. We were sitting over there at the table sending detectives to somewhere to deal with something. It also comes because of the citizens we have, right? All those number ones in a community that believes in law and order. Yes, do people that live in Forsyth County commit crimes? Yes, some people do. But over 50% of our significant crime in Forsyth County comes from the broader metro Atlanta region. It comes from 8, 10, 12-time offenders who have been convicted and given probation, and convicted of another felony and given probation, and had cases dismissed and convicted again and given probation. The serious offenders we deal with typically come from the broader metro region, and they have 6, 8, 10, 12 convictions, and then they land here in Forsyth County and we catch them, and they're really surprised when they can't just sign a piece of paper and get out of jail, or when the DA says, I'm actually going to prosecute you this time, and a judge, if they're found guilty by a jury of their peers, says, you're going to prison on your 13th time. We're not going to give you probation again. That's the unique difference of Forsyth County. I think this county has a reputation of being very welcoming and very diverse, but I also think we have a reputation of being not welcoming of crime. My mantra, if you know me, my mantra is this: crime will rise to the level a community will tolerate. I'm grateful that Forsyth County is not tolerant of crime.
Changing gears a little bit here, talking about facilities and the growth that we're experiencing right now. What does that mean for facilities in the county, both for everybody here on the stage? It means that salaries are probably increasing. The number of employees, deputies, teachers, government employees as well. Where are they all going to go? The county has been hard at work over the last several years with a public facilities investment plan that impacts definitely the sheriff, definitely county government. Chairman, let's start with you. What exactly is that public facilities investment plan, and what are some of the truths out there about that? Because I know there's a lot of misinformation right now.
Well, anytime you invest in public facilities, it's with the view that it is for the service of the county, meaning our county taxpayers, our county residents. So over the last year and a half, there's been a strategic plan which actually the roots of it began back in 2016 or 2017, where both county management and the sheriff's office were talking about the need for larger facilities. Because as the county grows, you have staff that grows with it. So today there's an admin building that's going to house, I believe, about 350 to 400 employees. When that shift takes place, the sheriff's office, that building, our old building, will become the sheriff's headquarters. In addition, we're consolidating all of the courts into 2 buildings. Currently, they're in 4 buildings. So that creates efficiency not just for the people who come expecting all the courts to be in 1 or 2 buildings, but also for the sheriff's office where they don't have to manage and protect 4 buildings. It can all be consolidated into 2. So there's a lot of change taking place, but things that will set us on the right trajectory for the next 10 to 25 years.
And we talked about crime rates and them being as low as they are and how important that is to the community. The round of applause, I think, speaks to that in this room. So, Sheriff Freeman, how big is that need for you to get into that building?
So it is. So I will give you, Chairman Valdes mentioned a minute ago, we were renting a 10,000 square foot building for a training center. We're also renting a building where our interagency drug task force, which includes Johns Creek, Forsyth County, the city of Milton, and Dawson County, as a joint drug task force. We're renting a building for them. The 10,000 square foot was full the day that we rented it, but it was the only building we could find. Midway Elementary, the new Midway was built. Superintendent and I were having a conversation one day, and the idea was born with Chairman Valdes. Would that building work for you as a training center? And of course, I said yes, because it's 72,000 square foot. And I negotiated a really good deal on behalf of the county and the sheriff's office. I tried to get it for 50 cents. I only got it for $1, so I apologize. But it was an opportunity for all of us to do something. I was asking the county, or going to be in the next few years, have to say, we need to build a training center. We have over 500 employees. We're one of the best trained agencies. We run our own police academy, one of the only sheriff's office that does that, and 10,000 square foot wasn't getting it done. That likely would have been a $25, $30 million building, or I'm not a construction guy, a lot of you are, but if we build a 35,000 square foot building, I'm assuming that would likely be in the tens and tens of millions of dollars. And then the opportunity to go to Midway, Board of Education looked at that and said, this is great. We have such a great relationship with the sheriff's office. Here's an opportunity to help. It's good for the taxpayers. We don't have to expend those taxpayer dollars. And then the current county administration building, we're able to consolidate a number of our resources, our detectives and other things in there, and that becomes a headquarters. We're occupying 2 floors of the old courthouse now, or the annex. That's about 12,000 square foot, and we're kind of like sardines. That's a close to 50,000 square foot building. That is a 25-year building for the sheriff's office. And so it is a great opportunity to do some smart things with less money, and so it meets our needs long term.